Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys an old school album review. And today we're going to be looking into this album's 20th anniversary, and it's from one of the best bands in Norwegian black metal. And I honestly don't really need to go much into detail with these guys. And as you can see below the title, today we're going to be talking about Prometheus, the Discipline of Fire and Demise by the Almighty Emperor, the band's fourth and most recent album, or it could be final album, released on October 21st, 2001 through Candlelight Records. Now, this of course follows up their previous album for Equilibrium. And from this album, Prometheus compared to Equilibrium, it's a little bit of a different approach for Emperor, because on this album they kind of focus more on a progressive kind of side, like having more kind of like progressive metal influences while still retaining sort of the typical black metal that Emperor is known for. And mostly with the song lengths, most of the songs go like 6 minutes or so. In fact, our longest song on here is 7 minutes in length. Production wise, it's great. Of course, Ishan produces this album, and this is an album with only 3 members on here. Let's just dive right into it. Vocally, Ishan just has that typical kind of like high shrieks, and his guitar playing along with Samuth's are great. Just like the leads and the riffs they come up with are great. And they didn't have a bass player on this album because forget who played bass on before, but I think he left, so Ishan actually handled all the bass on this album, and he's a pretty good solid bassist, says pretty much knows how the guitars work and with the bass and all that stuff. And drumming wise, Trim does a great job with the drums. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is the Eruption, which starts off very dark sounding with sort of like strung instruments providing somewhat of an intro of the song, and then after about like a minute or two, and then electric instruments just come crashing in, just low pitched guitars, bass backed by some blast beats and double bass, give you that true kind of signature black metal feel. And the bursts of the lead guitars go into a chorus of voices, and Ishan's voice and just heavy power chords get really heavy and fast. And then the two combine into the track that are the highlights of here. And the Eruption is just everything from like the fast and angry sound to sort of a slow and dark sound, and not to mention the insane guitar solo in the middle. And yeah, it's a really good way to start off this album. Then we move on to Depraved. Now, this song is just as good as Eruption, and the intro just starts off with about 2 minutes of just quick guitar parts with some heavy double bass and drum rolls, and it just leads into some sick blast beats and screaming, which produces a feel that is yet heavier than the Eruption. And the music and singing have that really good flow. Oh, and the keyboards combined with the guitars and screaming, just really good. Next up is Empty. Now, Empty starts off very fast and heavy, and then once the keyboards just come in, it almost take over. And this album doesn't seem as it will ever relent from the amazing sound it has given so far. And Ishan's voice seems really strange and a little bit altered at first, and then it comes back repeatedly and throughout the entire song. And the drumming seems a bit unusually heavy with the screaming. It is more emphasized than anything that I've heard so far. And this song is pretty up there with standards with other songs that we've heard so far, but we still have another few songs to go. Next up is The Prophet. Now, The Prophet is where the album kind of like slows down a little bit, and it pretty much emphasizes on grooves and atmosphere mainly, and it's pretty low meaning sound and volume, and the vocals are pretty calm until it seems that chorus of voices just come back again and gives that familiar kind of flowing feeling. And it's not a bad song. The Tongue of Fire is up yet. The Tongue of Fire, can't even speak today, is up next. And this song is another slow-paced song. Although it's pretty heavy without the calm feeling from The Prophet, it's got nothing really special other than the fact that it's really focused on lead guitar more than the previous song. And there isn't much singing, screaming here, so it just blends in. It's not bad, but it can honestly be a bit skippable. In the Wordless Chamber, now this is the heaviness of Emperor is back, and the screaming and double bass pretty much dominate the song, and then the synth part hit, and this song honestly becomes a little bit unpredictable, and it leads back into a powerful sound from before, and Ishan's screaming just fades into the drum rolls, which form an appropriate end to this song, and it's a pretty good song. I'm just running out of things to say here. Next up is Gray. Now, Gray is, in my opinion, what stands out is the vocals. And Ishan's screaming from the start seems a bit heavier than before. I think that's just me. And the heavy power chord riffs that blend well with the keyboards. And this song is pretty much based around just the rhythm and screaming, meaning this song is pretty much just nothing but heaviness. Not a whole lot of uniqueness, but it's not really bad. Next song is called He Who Sought the Fire. And there's like a really great beloved lead guitar and blast beats just come back for this song, and it has some cool guitar solos and some plenty of double bass to just complete just the whole mix. And the sound kind of reminds me of the first few songs that we need up to this point. And then we close things out with Thorns on My Grave, and again fast and heavy right from the get-go, and the drums and guitars have like really heavy parts that form a flowing feel after a while, and then the keyboards have more that dark and ominous sound, and the scream vocals are always great. And a song like this would be, in my opinion, a great closing for this album, just for one more time, and I just feel like Emperor just wrapped it up. Now overall, Prometheus, The Discipline of Fire, and Demise is a really good album, and it's sad it's the last album they would have before they would break up. Of course, Emperor has reunited since then, and they do like performances here and there, and I'm actually looking forward to finally seeing Emperor for the first time next year as part of the Psycho Las Vegas Fest. So knocking on wood, they actually make it, because I was supposed to have seen them this year, but of course the travel restrictions and COVID thing fucked it up. So yeah, so rather to give this album a score, I'm gonna give Prometheus by Emperor a solid 8.5 or an 8 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of the album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.